to Run With Purpose. This is episode number 102. And for those of you that are new to the show, my name is Flores, and I'm so very glad that you found this podcast. Would love if you would subscribe. And as always, you can reach out to me always. As always, you can always reach out to me. Too many alwayses. You can reach me on the socials at flores.run. Hope everyone is having a fantastic week so far. Released episode 101, basically just a sob fest. So I apologize for that, the little bit of crazy personal there, but I do appreciate all of the comments and support that folks have been giving from that episode. Definitely means a lot. Reaching out in those in that circumstance. That's all I get at. If you haven't listened to the episode, you can check it out and see more there. But yeah, getting back into the swing of things. Last week didn't have an episode because I was getting ready to go to Disney. I had mentioned in the previous episode that I was heading to Florida. We're doing the Dopey Marathon Challenge with my buddies Chad and Josh. Not going to get too much into that. There's a ton of stories, a lot of just like crazy things during the race, but also a lot of things outside of the race. Obviously, guys' weekend, it just gets weird sometimes, I guess. But next week, the guys are going to be on the show, and we're going to talk through all of the fun things. I might get canceled because of next week's episode. Hopefully, that's not the case. Letting the guys know to semi-behave. I guess they're not going to listen. We'll have some bourbon and we'll make it a fun thing for sure. But yeah, back into the swing of things, training for the next race. It's crazy this year, knock on wood, as long as everything goes according to plan, which I'm sure it won't, but then we'll have to readjust, which is fine. But this year is the year we're trying to wrap up the 50 states. 7 more races, first one being the Mesa Marathon, coming up on February 3rd, 4th, first weekend in February, something like that. So back on the road, trying to get out there. It's been crazy. We got back from Florida and the roads have just been like, the weather's just been garbage in general. I think we got like 2 feet of snow while we were gone. And then coming back, everything's been ice. I've gotten a couple decent runs out on the road, but it just, I'm kind of limited because all of the sidewalks are absolute trash. Because it's melting and then it freezes again. Today, it's actually raining a good bit, which means it's going to freeze overnight, which means my run tomorrow isn't going to be the best. But if I did something to my back or tweaked my back, I think it's like gas pains or something like that. I looked it up because someone else told me that before, and I was just like, that's crap. Why would you have gas pains in your back? Apparently, it's a thing. And it's not fun right now. So hopefully I can get back on the road tomorrow. But yeah, back into the training. And this week I also recorded a few interviews for some upcoming episodes that I really think you all will enjoy. A returning guest and then a new guest as well. Just trying to capture these stories, right? Capture people's dreams, missions, hopes, plans, what have you, and kind of just talking with people to meet new people. Another thing you may have seen is I put this on the Instagram last week. But the episode, so I tried loading the full video of the episode Instagram, but since they changed how they do the reels, it's kind of messed up how I was posting videos on Instagram. So because of that, I changed my kind of my podcast hosting platform stuff. You guys don't need to know all those little details, but the videos will now be showing up in Spotify. So if you are a Spotify listener, thank you. And you can actually check out the videos directly in the app. I'll probably be doing a preview. This will be the first episode that this happens. I'll be doing a preview of that, posting on my Instagram story so you can check it out, flores.run, just to kind of show where those things are at. But yeah, then there's a couple other cool features that I might start using in the future, but we shall see. But yeah, just lots of fun episodes coming up. I'm really excited for the guests that I've already recorded and a couple more that I've got planned and scheduled to record. But enough of that intro nonsense. So we have this little like quotes or sayings thing on our nightstand. For those on the video, I probably should have brought it over. Kayla's great-grandfather, Ernest Miller, apparently made these things for their family. He'd done lots of woodworking. They have like rocking chairs and birdhouses, I think Kayla said. They've got a bunch of like woodworking stuff that he had built, and it really was just for the family. And basically it's like a Rolodex for every day of the year. So every day there's a single quote. The next day you turn it over. I mean, it's in simple paper with like a, probably like a 3-inch binder ring or something like that. I'll take a picture, post on the socials. You may have seen me post something about it previously on my stories, whether there's been some quotes that or sayings that have been really cool, kind of pushing me to think things differently. So I'd share them with folks online as well. But I use these quotes, like I said, as like a daily push to kind of understand them maybe a little deeper. So sometimes these things are a little on the surface and they can be funny, and other ones can be a little more insightful and a little deeper and require some additional thought. And it's been cool because I'll change the day every day and kind of read it and then reflect of like how deep to kind of dig into what's going on there with that specific quote. And the other day, one came up that was the title of this episode: Purpose Precedes Progress. And obviously, anytime there's something that navigates around purpose, my mind starts running instantly, right? Obviously, with the podcast, I'm wearing my Running with Purpose sweatshirt right now. But anything around purpose kind of just brings something else in my brain, and then makes me kind of want to like think about it a little more. So like with this one, I really decided to sit in it for a little while and really just try to think about what it meant and kind of what that meant to me. I think it's very similar to something that I say all the time, that you've heard a ton of times on the show about. There's no growth and comfort, right? And I think this kind of runs just before that, because we need to have a purpose before we can actually move forward. That's obviously what this quote is saying, that, purpose precedes progress. We can do things sometimes without a purpose, but where do they end up leading? Without an actual purpose, are we actually moving in a direction that makes sense? We might be moving somewhere, but is it considered progress? We'll kind of get into some of my thoughts on progress, but I can think of a lot of things that I do. My back. I can think of a lot of things that I do throughout a day that are actually pretty useless, right? Like whether it's scrolling through social media or watching mindless TV or checking my emails multiple times a day from different accounts. And, these things in and of themselves aren't bad things, right? They have purposes. Running a business or the podcast requires me to kind of be present on social media. TV can help stimulate thoughts or ideas or even learn new things. Email, well, okay, maybe email is a little annoying. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's a good communication tool to reach out to people. Obviously, I use social media a lot to reach out for guests, but email's obviously a primary use of communicating with other folks as well. Sorry for the random noises. If you guys were watching the video, you'd see me like stretch in pain with my back, but whatever. But what happens is when we use these tools without a purpose, or rather even without, not with the purpose they were intended, they can become wasteful or not useful, right? Any tool we use or even anything that we do can become useless if it's not done or used with a purpose. So when I think about this idea of purpose preceding progress, it definitely makes sense to me. It's this idea that in order to have progress, to make any movement at all, you require some purpose. To take that first step, you have to know kind of a general idea of where you're going with that step, right? You can think about the step, but if you don't take the step with purpose, you're not moving forward, right? And I think one layer, kind of an additional to this progress, is this idea of like forward motion. I had to look up the definition of progress to make sure I was like correcting myself or not lying to myself or trying to learn more, I guess. But by definition, progress is forward or onward movement. But I would say that progress can look like one step forward and 2 steps back in the big picture, right? Of we're taking risk, we're moving forward, and sometimes we get knocked back. But as long as we continue moving, we can continue to have that growth in those uncomfortable circumstances. Sometimes we have this purpose and intentions, and then we end up moving things backwards, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's this idea of us being able to fail, recognize when, hey, maybe this didn't work the way we expected it to. Let's keep moving forward, right? It shows that the purpose that we are having, what we're going after, is going to cause some sort of movement. And, sometimes our purpose can be motivated by wrong things, if we want to call it that, which can make things move in a direction that we weren't hoping or expecting. Right? We're looking at what we thought was our, what we believe to be our purpose in moving forward here, and realizing, wait a second, that actually doesn't align with my other values and goals, or what I say isn't actually what I'm doing. So I believe that purpose is important to obviously towards progress, but we need to understand the why in that purpose, right? We've talked about this a ton of times on the show as well with guests, is making sure that the purpose you're going after is your own. Whenever our purpose is misaligned, progress probably isn't going to happen in the way that we expect. Because if the purpose isn't true to us, we're taking steps that really, for lack of a better way of saying it, they aren't our own. So progress may look different than we expect. If I took the steps that so-and-so took, but why didn't I end up where so-and-so did? Kind of situation. So when our purpose is misaligned, that's when that progress gets a little shaky. But when we have our own purpose and we drive to that and we act accordingly, that's when things can really happen or make a change. It may not always be the thing that you expected, but I can say with pretty good certainty that if you go after anything with purpose, something's going to happen. It may be that you reach the goal that you were setting out for, or maybe you learn something about yourself or others in the process, right? Like through this purpose, through these steps that I took, trying to reach what we would call progress, I learned I should not be doing that. I learned that is not the proper way for me, or maybe it makes me rethink my purpose or rethink my motivation for this purpose. That's another way that we kind of align these things, right? What is our motivation for going after these things? We have our purpose. This is the road that we're trying to go down. But what's the motivation pushing us to get to that moment, right? But no matter what the step is, whether it's reaching a goal, learning something about yourself, learning something about others, not doing something again, something will change and progress will be made. You can't actually do something and expect nothing to take place. Something is going to happen. It may not be what you want, like I said, but something is still going to take place from that. I'm expecting that little Rolodex to really give a lot more episode ideas and something like that. But this one just kind of hit fresh, and I kind of wanted to share it. I know this is going to be a shorter episode today, just prepping for all of the interviews and the good ones that are going to be coming up here soon for sure. But I'm excited to kind of continue through the year reading this thing. I just started probably last August, really paying attention to them. We moved it to my nightstand, and I was kind of focusing on those. And I'm excited to kind of see what other episode ideas can come through there. But do you have any ideas in your head? Any quotes or ideas that like constantly spin in your head, right? Like they keep coming back up and you're like, actually, that would be pretty cool. Like, I wonder what Jonathan thinks. I wonder what Jonathan might think about that. Or I'm just curious of another perspective on it. I'm always interested in hearing people's quotes and their ideas. And along with doing things on Spotify, there is a new little Q&A section that I can add questions to. So if you're on Spotify, again, I'll have a screenshot or a video of how to see these things, but there'll be a question that you can answer, just kind of what quotes are living in your head. I'd love to hear kind of what's going on in your head, maybe something I could group into an episode, or maybe just get a bunch of them and do an episode talking about people's thoughts and ideas in that realm. But lots of different ideas. There's so many things I could do with that. But yeah, this to wrap this up, kind of like this idea of purpose preceding progress. I feel like it's something that's so simple to grasp, but oftentimes we kind of forget that if we are just going through life in general aimlessly, that even though things will happen, technically progress is being made, just not in a positive light. If you have purpose and it's aligned with your motivation and your values and that sort of thing, that purpose is going to allow you to progress towards those goals, towards that dream, towards that future, towards whatever the thing is. But you have to have purpose. You know, the fastest way between 2 points is a straight line, right? We'll never go in a straight line. That's just not life. That's not reality. But with that continued purpose, we're still in that general direction. We are going towards that end goal, and we can consider that progress as we're making our way towards that goal. Yeah. Like I said, next week I have the guys talking about Dopey. It's going to be a crazy amount of fun. I'm looking forward to chatting with them. It's going to be a hoot, I'm sure. And then, like I said, a few episodes coming up after that with some really cool interviews that'll hopefully kind of stretch your thinking, and just make you think about things maybe a little differently, you know. But if you happen to know anyone that would be a great guest or has a cool story, let me know. Hit me up on the socials at flores.run. We can work on making that happen. Or if you have a cool story, you don't have to pitch to someone else, you know, pitch yourself as well. Again, purpose and progress, right? But yeah, that's it. Quick episode today, y'all. I appreciate all of the time. You can reach out to me again, social media everywhere, flores.run. Subscribe, leave a review for the podcast. Super appreciate that. Latest Hangry gear, wearehangry.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. Remember to keep running with purpose, one step at a time. See you guys next week.